So up to last night, I was speaking to Ajahn Nisarano. I said, Ajahn, I have no time to prepare for my talk. I do not know what I'm going to talk about on tomorrow. And he said, wow, Ajahn Brahm would love that. Because Ajahn Brahm always hoped that we can come unprepared for a talk. But we are not, I am not Ajahn Brahm's caliber, so I have to prepare for my talk. So last night after my meditation and everything, I went back at 9-something, I was looking through my pile of notes, and I found one sutta which I thought was very meaningful to close this year, 2024, with a fresh, kind of resolution, fresh kind of a reminder for what we want to do to continue enjoying the benefits of being a human being, especially when we are able to hear the Dhamma, even at this age, at this about 2600 years from the Buddha's time. So what I'm going to talk about is, you may have heard it before. Am I able to see? My eyes are deteriorating, my ears are deteriorating, my voice is deteriorating. This is a sign of old age. Okay, it is called Dighajanu Sutta, Conditions of Welfare. And it's not just talking about material welfare, it is also talking about spiritual welfare. You see, we have many very highly educated people, very successful devotees who come to Newbury. And sometimes they will want to stay for a few days. And, during the course of conversation, they will just express that, I have so many things in my life. I should be happy. But somehow I feel that something is missing in my life. Yep. So, of course, they are just trying to find out what is that piece of missing puzzle to complete their life. So I fully agree with some of them when they say that they discovered that the spirituality factor needs to be there to live a fulfilling life. So I thought that, well, okay, maybe this is something that we can actually remind ourselves, because I'm quite sure most of you have already had a lot of Dhamma talks and what we should do. But this one, I thought, well, we hope that the year is closing. We want to continue living a good life. And of course, everybody will be wishing you Happy New Year. May you have a happy and prosperous New Year. So what does prosperity mean? Yeah. So here we go. Okay, I'll just read along. It's very easy to understand, but maybe in between we'll just refer to some kind of very practical examples. Okay, so this one was spoken by the Buddha among the Koreans in the market town named Kakarapata. Dighajanu, okay? From what I have found out from the commentaries, Digha is long, of course you all know. Janu is knee, so it's long knee. I really have no idea what they mean by long knees. How do you have a long knee? I have no idea, but that is the meaning of the name, Dighajanu. He's a Korean, and he actually approached the Exalted One. So Korean, I understand, is where I think the Buddha's mother came from, I think, and Sakya clan is where the Buddha's father came from. That's how I understood it from some kind of commentaries. If I'm wrong, please do excuse me. So this Dighajanu, a Korean, approached the Exalted One, meaning the Buddha, respectfully saluted him and sat on one side. Thus seated, he addressed the Blessed One as follows. We, Lord, are laymen who enjoy worldly pleasure. We lead a life encumbered by wife and children. We use sandalwood of Kasi. That's really one of the best quality, yep. We deck ourselves with garlands, perfume, and unguents. We use gold and silver. To those like us, O Lord, let the Blessed One preach the Dhamma, teach those things that lead to weal and happiness in this life and to weal and happiness in future life. So I believe weal means riches or wealth or well-being of a person. Yep. So you see, although he's very well off, rather successful, he has that wisdom to ask Lord Buddha to teach what he and others like him can do to live a life of happiness now and future. Oh, that I think is a very wise person. Yeah. So the Buddha answered, 4 conditions, Bhagyapaja. So Bhagyapaja is the family name of this Dighajanu. 4 conditions conduce to a householder's will and happiness in this very life. Which 4? The accomplishment of persistence effort, the accomplishment of watchfulness, good friendship, and balanced livelihood. What is the accomplishment of persistence effort? Herein, Bhagyapaja, by whatsoever activity a householder earns his living, whether by farming, by trading, by rearing cattle, by archery, by service under the king, or by any other kind of craft, at that he becomes skillful and is not lazy. He is endowed with the power of discernment as to the proper ways and means. He is able to carry out and allocate duties. This is called the accomplishment of persistent effort. So, of course, during the Buddha's time, is much more of a agricultural kind of livelihood at that time. But right now, we have all sorts of livelihood here, and I believe that many people who are in the working world right now are very, very busy. So I don't think anyone can really become lazy if they are really in the working world. It's very hard to keep up with the others if we are lazy. But picking up skills and all that, it is what we have to do right now. It's the same with us monastics too. We have to pick up skills which we have never learned before, even as a layperson, as a householder. But in the monastery, we have to pick up a lot of skills, something that our family members will never imagine us to be doing. Yeah. So it is always good to know that, there's always this potential for us to really learn new things and use our body, speech, and mind in a very useful and purposeful manner. Yeah. So this is the accomplishment of persistent efforts. Yeah. So the second thing is, what is the accomplishment of watchfulness? Right. So here in Bhagyapaja, whatsoever wealth a householder is in possession of, obtained by dint of efforts, collected by strength of arm, by the sweat of his brow, justly acquired by right means, such he husbands will be well guarded and watched, so that kings would not seize it, thieves would not steal it, fire would not burn it, water would not carry it away, nor ill-disposed heirs remove it. This is the accomplishment of watchfulness. So here you see the Buddha is not just teaching us monks and nuns how to become monks and nuns. He is teaching the lay people how to watch over your wealth also, how to use your wealth correctly, how to protect your wealth. So I believe nowadays there's no danger of fire or water taking away our wealth because everything is in the bank and it's all digital, correct? There's nothing for fire to burn away or water to flood it away. Am I right? I really have little idea what's going on now. But, the emphasis here is, the householder who has obtained wealth through right effort, right? Sweat of his brow, justly acquired by right means. So the Buddha is actually emphasizing on right livelihood. Yeah. So we have to, most of us who are Buddhists, we will try to ensure that whatever we are doing actually is within the right livelihood kind of context that the Buddha is teaching us. So I think the wrong livelihood, probably, please help me if I can't remember, my mind is still sleeping. I think it's no alcohol, no weapons, no slavery, no meat trading, and no poison. Am I right? I think so, yeah. So all these things, yeah. All right, so all these are wrong livelihoods. So other than that, if anything doesn't concerns killing or deceit, anything that doesn't concern those things. something that is earned by the what they call right means, right? So that is called right livelihood. Okay, so the other thing that really catches my eye here is ill-disposed heirs who can remove it. I think what the Buddha was trying to tell us is that sometimes we, in family members, I mean, I have seen this happen to relatives and friends too. You may have your parents, doing everything to build up a business, to earn money, build up, some kind of savings for the children and grandchildren. So sometimes, unfortunately, just one person in the family is enough to be the cause of you losing your wealth. Yeah, because the person is not well behaved, get into wrong friendship, get into wrong livelihood. Yeah, not knowing how to be respectful to parents, not knowing how to do charities, not knowing how to work, lazy, just wanting to enjoy life. I have seen those cases happen. And that kind of heir really are the ones who can really deplete the savings that the parents have built up. So I just hope that, when we are faced with such conditions, is there anything that we can do? Yeah, I have seen a lot of helplessness in families with just one child who is like that. It could be a daughter, it could be a son, it could be a grandson, it could be a granddaughter. So I just hope that if we are faced with conditions like that, what can we do? Of course, the family members will always try their very best to correct the person, but sometimes it is very hard. So I reflect back on what our Chinese teachers used to tell us. When we are family members, we come with two reasons. We either come here as a family to pay our coming debts, or we come here to claim our coming debts. We either come here to pay our gratefulness, or we come back to pay with vengeance. That's what our Chinese teachers used to tell us when we were learning Buddhism in Singapore. Perhaps a lot of people won't accept that, but somehow if you were to look around into families' problems and all that, it seems to be the case. And it's hardly anything that the parents can do. They just have to let that situation live out the karma, either from the parent side or the child side or whatever. So sometimes it's very difficult for us to say, is it past karma or is it the present day conditions or whatever? It's very hard for us to know. But all such problems do exist in family members and even relatives and all that. I have seen sisters who are so indebted to their brothers who refuse to work, they have to take care of their life. Children indebted to parents who gamble or do all sorts of funny things. We have seen that too. Yeah, siblings, owing, I would call it coming debts to one another. They feel so obligated to just take care of that sibling who is really very able-bodied but refuses to work. So all these things are happening. What's the reason? So if it's not due to past karmic link, then why are we faced with this kind of family members? Yep. So this is something that no one can really explain, but something that we have to live with. And we can only say that, well, let us live and let live, and hopefully the karma will end naturally. Yeah. Many ways to help one another, but sometimes it's just almost impossible. So there are many times that even as monastics, we are so helpless. People will come to us and tell us their family problems and all that. There's really nothing much we can do. We can just sort of like tell them not to be overly worried until they become so stressed out and all that. But it's really impossible when people are faced with such situations, and when our minds are not trained to just think that, well, he or she is just a family member in this lifetime and whatever. When our mind has not been trained to look at anatta and what I call sunyata, we will always have that kind of attachments that this is my family. This is my son, this is my daughter. All these things will always be there. And these are the very attachments that cause us to grieve and cause us pain and cause us suffering. So unless our minds are well trained, right, we can't let go. We are always perturbed by something that we call my relative, my family members, my whatever is my. So unless we're able to train ourselves to let go of the I, me, and mine, the dukkha will always be there. Unless we can really realize that. Yeah, it's the same with us monastics too. Yeah. So all these things is the reason why Lord Buddha's teaching is so important to us. Yeah, training our minds to really face a lot of situations, objectively. Yeah, and there are many times when teachers tell us our minds are conditioned, and we shouldn't be living in duality and all that. How many of us can really do that? We are always having good, bad, beautiful, ugly, high, low, all this kind of duality is always there, always comparing, discriminating and all that. Really, how many of us can really understand the teachings of Lord Buddha? For us to discern, we have to know what is good, what is bad, but not for the good and bad to sway us in, to the extremes of happiness with this good and anger and hatred to those situations that is not good. So how many of us can really do that? That is the teaching of Lord Buddha, right? Whatever we are doing, that is the teaching of the Buddha. We have to discern. We know the differences. We have to be very aware what is good, what is bad, what one should do, what one should not do. But at the same time, living with situations like that and not being swayed by it. Not many of us can do that, yeah. And I'm saying it because I know that it's very difficult, even for me as a nun for so many years, to really be unperturbed by things that is really so unpleasant, yeah. So yeah, this is the training of the Buddha. Everything is mind-made, everything is mind-driven, right? So please let us understand what is the real teaching of the Buddha. That is to purify the mind, right? The Dhammapada has clearly stated to stop all evil, to do all good, and to purify the mind. That is the thing that the Buddha is emphasizing on. To do good and to stop all evil. All other religions, they will teach the same thing, but purify the mind. If our mind is pure, our speech will be pure, our bodily actions will be pure. How many of us can really do that? Maybe Ajahn Brahm. Okay, now what is good friendship? Herein, Vaggapada, in whatsoever village or market town a householder dwells, he associates, converses, engages in discussions with householders or householders' sons. Of course, during that time, it was a very patriarchal kind of society. Even now, it is still a little bit like that, but when the Buddha speaks about sons, of course, I think in the modern context, it also refers to daughters too, right? In the Buddha's time, at that time, I think just like Chinese culture, daughters were not held in the same kind of esteem as sons would be held. So a lot of times in the suttas you will read that husbands taking care of wives and children, and then when they refer to not doing something with the householders, they always mention householders' sons. But right now in our modern era, we have to include daughters also, and there are many wives who are taking care of husbands too. Yeah, so we will not dwell on the what I call differences of the use of gender-based kind of words. We'll just assume that the Buddha is actually talking to all beings, right? Whether you are a man or woman, whether you are young or old, whether you're a mom or a dad, a son or a daughter. Yeah, we have to take it in that context. Yeah. So the Buddha was mentioning that you have to associate with the proper people, and also those who are highly cultured, full of faith, and full of virtue, full of charity, and full of wisdom. Right? These are things that we are always reminded to do. Yeah, we have to have faith. Faith in what? We have to have virtues. Of course, virtues, we all know what that means. Charity, to what extent do we need to do charity? And full of wisdom. Wisdom is not what I call worldly knowledge. It is, according to Buddha's teaching, wisdom is always any factors leading towards awakening. Okay, what we call nibbana. So he acts in accordance with the faith of the faithful, with the virtue of the virtuous, with the charity of the charitable, with the wisdom of the wise. This is called good friendship. So that's why we need to have very good kalyanamitas. Yeah? So this one I won't go into detail because many of us will know how to choose our friends, right? But we have to choose wisely because there are friends who are disguised as friends, but actually are giving us a lot of bad influences without our knowledge. So that is where discernment, wisdom has to come in. Okay, what is balanced livelihood? Here in Vajrapada, a householder knowing his income and expenses leads a balanced life, neither extravagant nor miserly, knowing that his income will stand in excess of his expenses, but not his expenses in excess of his income. That's the Buddha. Even at his time, he's reminding everyone, don't spend more than what you earn, right? But nowadays with credit cards, are we still using credit cards? I'm not sure what is being used out there nowadays. There's a lot of things that you can just punch in some numbers and you can get your purchases paid and whatever expenditures paid and all that, right? I really have no idea what is happening out there now. So the Buddha is reminding everybody, hey, live a balanced life, okay? Don't spend more than what you earn. In fact, there are many elderly who actually support the Sangha so committedly. And most of the time we ask them, so and so, you are giving us so much in offerings, so much in donations. Of course, we welcome those donations because it's really merit-making for you and also assisting and supporting whatever project is ongoing and also supporting the Sangha and all that. But have you leave something aside for your retirement? Have you leave something aside for sicknesses and all that? Because once you get older, you probably won't have as much good health as what we have when we are younger. We always, at least many of us actually remind them, please, you don't have to give everything, right? The Buddha, I can't remember which sutta, please correct me again, Ayya Sankappa. It's always good to have my sister nun here because they can sort of like support me when I can't remember things well. I think there's another sutta where the Buddha mentions that a householder, when they earn their income, they have to divide into 4 portions. 2 portions for their livelihood, taking care of families and friends and all that. And 1 portion, I think, is for supporting the charities and Sangha and all that. And 1 portion is for saving. Divide into 4. 1 portion is for saving. So are you all doing it? Please, yeah? Because, for us monks and nuns, we just give up everything. We don't have money or anything. So we will accept whatever happens to us in our life. I hope most of us will. That, we are not living our life like a householder anymore. We don't have savings and all that. We just hope that the virtues that we have cultivated, our practice, our purification of mind and all that, will find the support eventually when we need it. Okay? It will come naturally. But for householders, see, this is the power of the rope. The power of the rope is that if you really use the power of the rope correctly, you will not need to worry about your support at all. But as householders, even if you're practicing very well, maybe your karma will also ensure that the support will come to you. But a lot of times, when the person is sick or whatever, even you see right now we have anagarikas, male and female, in Newbury Buddhist Monastery, right? When they are not a local person, when they go to the, I think clinic, is it clinic or hospital, just a practice, right? They have to pay a few $100s, right? Just to get a consultation. It's so expensive. So this is the reason why we always encourage all of you, please make sure you have something reserved for your own personal use. Yep, you may say that, well, I have my husband, my children will give me and all those things, but just treasure what we have and make sure you have some savings for yourself. Yeah, it's always better to be, ready. Yeah, so please, giving is something to be encouraged, but also to have the wisdom in giving. That is something that even the Buddha is teaching the lay people, right? Okay, and whoever you support, you have really to be very careful, whoever you support. So we try at Newbury Buddhist Monastery, we try to teach our devotees that monastics, if we follow our Vinaya rules, monastics are not supposed to ask anything from anyone who's not related to us through blood relation. Unless somebody has given us a 4-month invitation to ask for requisites or a lifelong invitation. We have a few people giving us lifelong invitation. And I always tell them, you observe us first. You observe us monastics first. If we monastics have a tendency to fly here and there, supposedly doing something good, you please really open your eyes to see whether this monastic can be supported or not. Because we have seen many monastics who like to travel the world. You just wear the robe, shave your head. Ajahn Brahm's endorsed monk or nun, Banteji's endorsed monk or nun, or wherever, those popular monks or nuns, with a good reputation in the world, people will just respect you, right? That's the power of the robe. Of course, the Buddha has reminded us in his teachings that monastic life, not properly lived, will drag one down to hell. But if we, as a monastic, is not mindful of our conduct, of our Vinaya rules. I mean, Vinaya rules is there to help us, but it has to become part of a natural kind of livelihood to us. When we are first new to the monastic life, the Vinaya rules are there to help guide us. But the Vinaya rules should be part of a natural process of the monastic right livelihood. So a lot of the time, monastics sometimes, these lay people sometimes will say, will come, like, we do have certain cases like Ayya Upekkha, this monk or this nun is asking for us to put something into their bank account directly. This monk or nun from another place wants to buy this thing. Slowly, at first you will have faith in the monks and nuns because they will appear like all of us. How do you know whether we are breaking our Vinaya rules or not? Unless you come to stay with us. And that's the beauty of Newbury Buddhist Monastery. Anyone can come and stay with us, observe the monks and nuns there, come in the middle of the night to see whether we are counting money or doing something fishy, right? That's the beauty of Newbury Buddhist Monastery. But how many monasteries allow that to happen, right? So when you first come into a monastery, every monk and nun, when I was first in the monastery, I thought every monk and nun was like Lord Buddha. And then I found out through the painful way that it was not. Right? So please observe the monastic that you are going to support. Okay? Don't just meet them for the first time and say, oh, whatever you want, I'm going to support you as long as I'm alive. That is a very lovely lifelong offering for some monastics who are practicing well. Right? But there are some who really taps on the richness of people for a life of enjoyment. Okay, bogus monks, nuns, here and there, everywhere, even in Australia. I still remember there was once I was here a few years ago in BSV. Somebody called up from Flinders Street. Did you all send your monks here to beg for money? They call us here. If monks and nuns go out with the bowls and ask for money, you can be very sure that they are not monks or nuns. The Vinaya rules doesn't permit us to use money. That's why we are called monastics, right? Going on alms round, we are 100% dependent on all of you to give us the 4 requisites. But most of you give us much more, which we really do appreciate. And that is actually a reminder for us monks and nuns to really practice well. See, last night we were listening to Ajahn Brahm's talk, the last talk for 2024, and he was recollecting about what is the best gratefulness to your teacher. What is the best thank yous to the teacher? It's not by offering coffee or tea or whatever. I'm not asking you to stop, please, because some of us do like them. Okay, it's not this material offering. The most, I would say, precious kind of gift to our teachers or anyone who has benefited us is really through our practice of purification. But it's true that we will get sick. It's true that we need to go somewhere. You see, like some of the monastics, they have never been to India. They can't go if nobody offers them a sponsorship or anything like that. And all these things are very expensive. So this is the reason why you can observe the monastics, right? Observe them. And then if they are really practicing well, then you make the lifelong offer. Otherwise, you can just make a 4-month offer. That's according to our Vinaya rules. Whenever someone says, Ayya Upekkha, whatever you need, let me know, I'll be happy to buy for you. Hey, 4 months, I can use that. Okay? If I'm greedy, I'll come to you every week. I want this, I want that, I need this, I need that. Oh my goodness, you just like what there's the story during Lord Buddha's time. When people see cows, brown cows, they say, run for your life, here comes the Sangha. Brown robes. Yeah. So if the monastics are not practicing well, we are scared, the life out of a lot of devotees. Yeah. So it's very important for you to observe us. Okay, observe us. We do not mind being observed. Whatever you think of us, if it's right, we deserve it. If it's wrong, it doesn't bother us. A lot of people are very opinionated, correct? Then you just see one incident and you don't even know what is happening and you jump to a conclusion. Ayya Upekkha did something very nasty to the person just now. But whatever was happening before, none of you know. Right? Sometimes in order to be kind, we need to be firm. Do you agree? When your children wants to play with fire, right? Before they really get badly burned, most parents I heard will say, they would put their hand, the child's hand, to touch something that's warm, hot, but not harmful enough, so that they can have the reflex action of just, withdrawing their hand. Then they know, whoa, that is hot. So you got to be firm sometimes in order not to allow people to continue doing the wrongs. Right? So all these things is very important for us, right? To really know how to spend your money and all that. Okay, where did I stop? Oh, there. Okay, the income in excess of its expenses. So we are just trying to tell all our devotees, especially those who stay in Newbury Buddhist Monastery, they know that a lot of times we just take whatever is given to us. But once in a while, monastics, especially the young ones, the new ones, they give up everything in their life to become monastics. What is the only indulgence they can have? It's food. It's just food. It's just Ajahn Brahm always telling you, all of us, how he craves for fish and chips. Correct? So food is the only thing that we can indulge in. But how much can our stomach hold? How much can our stomach hold? Just a little bit, not much. Yeah? So yeah, I'm not saying that you should not give something special to the monastics, but in moderation. In moderation. A lot of times in Newbury Buddhist Monastery, we always remind the people, please take back your leftover food, don't waste it. It's through your heart and money, it's through your effort, it's through your energy that you're cooking so much dishes to offer to the monastics as well as the 8 preceptors, as well as the friends who are coming with you. Don't waste the food. If it can be consumed for dinner, please take it back. Millions of people are going without food every day, right? So all these things we have to be considerate. You see, this is the beauty of the metta chant. There's one line in particular that really penetrates deep into my heart, and that line is, "Soul with a boundless heart, one should cherish all living beings." That one line there, it penetrates deep into my heart. And this one line can mean many things, not only just cherishing all living beings with their life, but also cherishing everyone with their efforts and loving kindness and support who are supporting us as monastics. So a lot of lessons for us monastics to learn, including all of you who are staying in the monastery. We go to the monastery to stay mainly because we want to practice like monks and nuns, although we are not really monks and nuns, but it doesn't need you don't need to shave your head and wear a robe to really become holy. Even in the Buddha's time, many lay people, they are already in the holy stream. That's why for those who are too old to ordain, because you see, it's not easy to really ordain at an old age. You have to bow to the young nuns who are probably very childish or whatever, and you say, "Oh, what did I do to my life?" As a lay person, you can practice and be awakened to the truth. The Buddha never said that no one in the human realm is not probable to become awakened. He is saying that everyone who is a human being, is very rare to be a human being, can be awakened. All of us here, whether you're a monk or a nun, whether you're a layman or a laywoman, whether you are from Sri Lanka or Australia or Singapore or Vietnam or wherever, all of us have the potential to be arahants. That's the teaching of the Buddha, right? Of course, the Mahayana will say that, well, the Buddha did go one step further. The Buddha said that we can also train to become bodhisattvas and Buddhas. But to become an arahant, to stop the cycle of birth and death in samsara, I think that is what most of us look forward to. Right? Then, of course, if you want to make vows to come back to become a bodhisattva and to become a Buddha like Lord Buddha, of course, yes, please go ahead. That needs a lot of perfections. Yeah. So you see, the Buddha has already taught us that whether we are monastics or lay, the opportunity of awakening is always there. It's just how we take his teachings, how we reflect and contemplate on it, how we use it in our daily life, how we really understand the essence of his teaching and not just the words, not the letter of the words. So all these things are very important. So every time for us, monastics, today is Upassata Day for us actually. We always do a lot of reflection. Right? When we become a Buddhist, when we become a monk or a nun, we are no more living according to the worldly aims and goals. We want to transcend them, to awaken to the teachings that the Lord Buddha has realized when he was awakened. That's the purpose of why we become Buddhists, and that's of course the purpose of why we become monks and nuns, to be awakened. Yeah, so there are a lot of things that we have to really understand what Buddha wants us to understand. Okay, now, what's the time now? 10:21. Oops. Okay, if Vajrapaja, a householder with little income, were to lead an extravagant life, there would be those who say, "This person enjoys his property like one who eats wood apple." I really have no idea what wood apple is. Anybody has any idea? Huh? Is it a fruit or? It's a fruit. Is it something like a what we call? And then it's really a fruit. Okay. So India. So I really don't understand this part because I really have no idea what it's like to eat wood apple. The person enjoys his property, the one who eats wood apple. Is wood apple very rare or something?
It has a hard shell and soft inside.
So is it longish or?
No, it's
round?
Like an apple, hard shell,
and
the inside is fleshy.
So
it's brown colored fruit.
So it's a luxurious thing, I assume, because he says that if one were to be extravagant, then this person will be, pointed out as one who enjoys his property like one who eats wood apple. I can't really understand this part.
You break the shell to eat the flesh.
Is it like mangosteen?
No, it's not like mango.
No, mangosteen.
Oh, mangosteen.
Yeah.
Oh no, mangosteen is
Yes, something similar to mangosteen.
Yeah.
Inside is brown. Yeah.
Oh, do we have it in Australia?
No.
No. Okay, I'll look forward to eating a wood apple one day, just to know what it's like. If I happen to have that good karma to know what it's like. Okay, so if this person enjoys his property, if this person lives an extravagant life, then someone will say that, hey, this person is enjoying his property like one who eats wood apple. If Vagya, a householder with a large income, were to lead a wretched life, there would be those who say this person will die like a starveling. Then, of course, we heard of one story in the Buddha's time where this father has lots of money, but he doesn't give to anyone. He doesn't even spend it himself and all those things, right? I'm not sure whether any of us have met with anyone like that, but I think so far the people I meet so far have been quite generous. Yeah, and at least they give and they support. Whether they are religious or not is different, but there are a lot of people doing charities nowadays. Yeah, so this person, although they have a lot of money, they will still die like someone who has starved themselves to death. Yeah, because they don't have the good karma to really enjoy what they have. Yeah, so this is how the Buddha has mentioned that these are the four sources of destruction of health. Okay, the following four methods of destruction of health. Not health, wealth. How to pronounce this word? Debauchery. Debauchery. I think debauchery, is that called debauchery? Yeah. So the meaning is, of course, extreme indulgence in bodily sensual pleasures and all that. Yep. And then the second one is drunkenness, gambling, friendship. Okay, and intimacy with evil doers. So under friendship comes the wrong companionship and intimacy with evil doers. So friendship is so important, right? Friendship, kalyanamitas, so important. So just as in the case of a great tank with 4 inlets and outlets, if a person should close the inlets and open the outlets, and there should be no adequate rainfall, decrease of water is to be expected in that tank, not an increase. So this is what the Buddha means. If you have some wealth and then you just spend it with these 4 sources of destruction, then of course you will never see an increase in your wealth, right? There are 4 sources for the increase of amassed wealth, right? Abstinence from debauchery, abstinence from drunkenness, non-indulgence in gambling, friendship, companionship, and intimacy with good people. I think all of us know that. But sometimes out of our foolishness, we may fall into wrong friendship. Yeah, because a lot of times, we base our relationship with others through feelings and likes and dislikes. Maybe past karma also has something to do with it. So we hope that we can all learn to be wise people with discernment. Yeah. Okay, and all these qualities are found in the Mangala Sutta. It's all found in the Mangala Sutta. So just as in the case of a great tank with 4 inlets and 4 outlets, if a person were to open the inlets and close the outlets, and there should be adequate rainfall and increase in water, is certainly to be expected in that tank and not a decrease. So these are the 4 conditions of the increase of amassed wealth. So this is how the Buddha is teaching Vajradhapaja how to live a householder's life with will and happiness in this very life. Okay, now, the conditions of spiritual progress, okay? There are 4 conditions that conduce to a householder's will and happiness in his future life. Okay, what for? The accomplishments of faith, the accomplishments of virtue, the accomplishments of charity, and the accomplishments of wisdom. All right, so here, what is the accomplishments of faith? Herein, a householder is possessed of faith. He believes in the enlightenment of the perfect one. Thus, indeed, is that Blessed One. He is the pure one, fully enlightened, endowed with knowledge and conduct, well gone, the knower of the worlds. That is why we have been chanting Itipiso, that part, yeah? So this is called the accomplishment of the faith. So having faith in the Buddha's enlightenment, having faith in the Triple Gem, having faith that the Buddha has left behind those teaching that can lead us towards awakening, right? So all these are faith, but of course here it's mentioned that we have to have faith that the Buddha is an accomplished one. If we don't even have that faith, how does it benefit us when we take refuge in the Holy Triple Gem? If we don't even have faith that the Buddha is the fully enlightened one, the fully awakened one, yeah? So that is the accomplishment of faith. What is the accomplishment of virtue? So here in a householder abstains from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, and from intoxicants that cause heedlessness. So that is called the accomplishment of virtue, which the Buddha has encouraged. Please practice our 5 precepts well. That will be more or less a warranty for us to be reborn as a human being again. Right? And maybe as another a reminder, 7 billion people in the world, how is it that it's very hard to be born as a human being? So I always compare Newbury Buddhist Monastery. Just one Ayya Upekkha, you can have 200 kangaroos around here. Yeah, one Ayya Upekkha, the whole ant hill is there. So is it easy to be an ant and a kangaroo, or is it easy to be one human being, regardless of whether we are male or female? So it's very easy to see, even when you're watching documentaries of those divers going underwater, just 1-2 divers, maybe with the cameraman, all the schools of fishes swimming by. It's really very hard to be born as a human being. So please treasure our human birth, right? Okay, and what is the accomplishment of charity? Herein, a householder dwells at home with a heart free from stain of avarice, which is extreme greed for wealth and material gain, and devoted to charity, open-handed, delighting in generosity, attending to the needy, delighting in the distribution of alms. This is called the accomplishment of charity. I think most of us here are doing that, really. I can see that most of us are doing that, right? So for monks and nuns, we have no money to do charity. What kind of charities can we do? Well, today is one kind of charity that I'm doing. Yeah, there are many ways of charity which doesn't require money or anything else. Even sometimes a comforting hand for someone who is in pain or grieving, someone who is like very depressed or unhappy, a comforting word just to be with them. There are many ways of doing charity without money, without any material kind of efforts and all that. Yeah, just through a good mind, but good bodily kind of support for the other person, or even to an animal. I can tell you, you'll be so happy to be living in Newbury. You see, we are so proud to mention that the foxes are coming to sit at our front door, waiting to be fed. The duck is sitting there, waiting to be fed. The, what do you call? The birds, yeah. So we feel very, consoled and encouraged. It only shows that they trust that we don't harm them. They are really sitting at the front door. I think you have seen that, right? Even Dawn was feeding the fox. The fox doesn't hurt any of us. This morning I had a very unusual experience with the fox. I came to the main hall and the fox was following us. Of course, they know that we will feed them. But because, I had to do some other things, so I told him, you sit there, you wait for a while. So by the time I brought the food for the fox, I found that one of my slippers is gone. He took one of my slippers to one side. I think he's just trying to tell me, hey, Ayya Upekkha, give me my food or you're going to lose one of your slippers. It was so cute. I mean, it wouldn't be cute if I can't find my slipper, but I found my slipper. Yeah. So they are so reactive. And they have 2 little babies there, right? With 2 baby foxes. Oh, so beautiful. Yeah. But sometimes it's very sad that, some kangaroos can be hit by cars and all that. So the other day we really had to let go of one kangaroo. I think it was hit by a car. The leg was broken, the bone was sticking out, flies were already starting. So we called the wildlife saver to say that whatever it is, please do your best to save it. I mean, if it can be saved at all, yeah. So, of course, one of the nuns there was given some support from one of the family members who visited. So it was also offered that, look, if you need to have some kind of expenses to pay to take care of that kangaroo, please go ahead. Yeah. But I said, no, it's not about money. It's really about the quality of life the kangaroo is going through. If the kangaroo cannot hop, there's no hope for it to be alive. So they have to shoot it there and there. So of course our devotees requested that please let us return to our monastery first before you shoot it. We have to accept that. It is out of kindness for the animal not to suffer further. Yeah. See, so sometimes all these kind of things is sad for us to accept, but we have to understand that it's really done out of good intention, done out of compassion. We are not forcing the wildlife savers to shoot it. The wildlife savers, the savers, they know which animal to save, which not to save. So they say, please, we have to put it off their suffering. Otherwise, you will be suffering so much. Flies are swarming, and then sometimes the foxes or whatever may come and tear it apart while it's still alive because it cannot protect itself. So a lot of times we have to accept such kind of situation, right? We can have the compassion for animals, but sometimes out of compassion, we have to listen to what the experts are saying. Yeah, we cannot just say, no, I'll just bring it back to my room and I'll take care of it. It's almost impossible. Yeah. So all these things are things we have to face in our life, situations that sometimes we are not prepared for. Yeah. Okay, so these are the conditions conducive to a householder's will and happiness in his future life. So this is the last part is very important. The accomplishment of wisdom. Householder, herein he is endowed with wisdom that understands the arising and cessation. Whatever arises will perish, causes and conditions. That is the essence of Lord Buddha's teaching. Right? Everything is conditional. Everything that arises is subject to perish. What's the noun for perishment? Perishment? Yeah. Whatever arises will perish. Yeah. Whatever is just like when we have birth, we are born, arising of this body and mind. Then we have old age, sickness, and then death. But death is not the final. Another birth will take place. So this is the essence of Lord Buddha's teaching, arising and cessation. Whatever arises, whatever is formed, it will perish. Okay? And then he's actually referring to the 5 aggregates of existence, our body and our mind, 5 aggregates. Okay? This is the process that Lord Buddha hopes a householder is able to penetrate with insight by understanding the 5 aggregates, which is subject to arising and cessation due to conditions, right? And also to have this kind of insight that leads to the destruction of suffering. So you see, most of us are suffering mainly because we cannot accept anicca, dukkha, anatta. We cannot accept that things are impermanent. We cannot accept that we are not in control of a lot of things. We always like to control situations. We like to control people. We always think that we can control a lot of things. Even we ourselves, we think we can control ourselves. But no way. A lot of times, our mind can be thinking of one thing this minute. The next moment, it can be thinking of something else for the same situation. So you see, if we cannot accept the 5 aggregates as something that is not reliable because it's so conditional. And there, as Ajahn Brahm always say, these 5 aggregates, the body and the mind, which is made up of, the body is made up of the 4 elements, which all of you already know. The mind is made up of feeling, perception, the intention, and the consciousness, right? All these things are just part of nature, part and processes of nature. How many of us really can accept that teaching? We always take this body to be my body. We take feelings to be my feelings. We take perceptions to be my perception of things. What I perceive, what I saw, what I heard is 100% correct. That person is such and such and such. 100%, I have no doubt that I am right. But it's so unreliable. It's so unreliable. And we all fall prey, become victims of all this kind of perception, which is all conditioned by what we are already conditioned with. Yep. So I think nowadays, even in the judicial systems in America and elsewhere, a lot of times they already found out that whatever witnesses give witness to certain situations, it may not be true. It is just something that they perceive, and they take it to be truth. And that's the reason why a lot of innocent people are being jailed for a crime they never did in their life. Yeah. A lot of people are accused of things they never did because of what other people perceive them to be doing. And when we perceive something, the feelings of like and dislike comes into the picture, it aggravates the matter even worse. Yeah. So this teaching here, we have to understand the arising and cessation. Everything is coming together to form something that's called the arising. Conditions come together, like today. How do we have a Sunday Dhamma talk? How many conditions need to be there? You need to have a BSV, you need to have lights, electricity, you need to have seats, you need to have volunteers, you need to have the AV team, you need to have people bringing food, you need to have people cleaning up, you need to have people showing you the way in, you need to have chairs, so many things. You need to have nuns who are giving the talk, you need to have the mic, so many things coming together. But after that, it will dismantle. So it's all coming together and then dismantling again. So causes and conditions. Everything is causes and conditions. That's why this is the essence of the Buddha's teaching, which many of us still cannot accept. We always want things to be permanent. We always want things to be the way we want it to happen. Right? That's why we really enjoy Ajahn Brahm's talks is because he always gives us very practical kind of examples. Don't ask the world for something that the world cannot give us. Right? So it's just that, I wish Australia won't go through the fire season. Can we really ask for that? It's impossible. I was, because we had two extreme conditions for the fire danger in Newbury, we were supposed to evacuate. But because right now we have the SOS retreat center, which is made more of fire resilient materials. So the fire warden who is in the fire watchtower actually told us that if there's a fire around the forest, it's better to stay in SOS than to be out on the road. Because if you're on the road and both sides of the forest are raging with fire, you can't move forward, you can't move backward. If there's any fallen tree, any vehicle stuck there, you are just waiting to be killed, not by the fire, but just the radiant heat. Yeah, so all these kinds of things we have to understand. I mean, none of our prayers together, we are chanting the Quill's protection every day, hoping that at least part of the energy can help to sort of like minimize the risk for all people in Australia. Every time it's summertime, we will chant the Quill's protection because the Quill's protection is the Buddha's vow made on truth. Truth is so powerful. That's why we are taught not to lie. Truth is so powerful. It's a very powerful energy. A lot of things that is coming from a pure mind, truthfulness, has a lot of power, unseen. It's just like electricity. You cannot see electricity, but it's so powerful. It can be used in so many ways, and it can also be used to kill. So a lot of unseen energy can be very powerful, positively or negatively, depending on how we use it. So the power of truth is just very positive, just like the power of right speech. It's so useful for us to live with one another in a very positive and loving way. As Ajahn Brahm always emphasized, be kind, be peaceful and gentle. Am I right? Kind, peaceful, gentle. Correct? I think so, yeah. So we are so blessed to have a teacher like Ajahn Brahm, okay? We are so blessed, yeah. So we try to follow the Buddha's teaching, especially this last part here. I mean, the first few parts, every religion will teach us. And also, if there's no religion to teach us, I think by what we call common sense, we also know that this is how life and things will work out. But for the wise householder endowed with wisdom to understand, okay, causes and conditions arising and ceasing, that is the thing that is so unique in Lord Buddha's teaching, right? And also not to hold on to the 5 aggregates as I, me, and mine. That is so important for us. So living in the present moment, not to be affected by the past, not to be speculating into the future. That is so important. It's so powerful, and it can bring us a lot of happiness in our life and not send us down into depression. Yeah. So all these are the teachings of Lord Buddha. So I think I wouldn't go further because the final conclusion verses is just a repetition of what the Buddha actually mentioned to Dighajanu. So I hope that this has been a good reminder for us to have a resolution towards the new year, which is just a few days away, right? Whatever we have not done right, okay, these are the teachings of Lord Buddha. I want to make sure that we are doing things right, and hopefully we will live with happiness and well-being from today onwards, from now onwards. Yeah. Okay? We can be a happier person. Even if we are now a very wise person, we can be wiser. There's no limit until we become totally awakened. We still have a long way to go towards awakening. So every day of purification will just set us towards that goal of awakening. I'm not afraid of birthdays because I always tell people 1 more year of birthday means 1 year nearer to awakening, hopefully. Yeah, so never mind. No matter how old we are, I mean, getting old, we have our privileges. People will take care of us, when we are a senior and all that. Why not? Enjoy the seniority, enjoy the old age, but take care of your body and mind very well. Yeah, so the Buddha's teaching is so beautiful. We are all so blessed to have the Buddha's teaching with us. Okay, I think I will conclude this talk with that, a reminder for us to really be a compassionate and wise person. Yeah? Is there any questions?